In recent years of professional tennis, watching Iga Swiatek crush yet another helpless opponent has become as certain as the rising sun. When Swiatek's game is flowing and her mind is clear, the combined quality of her ferocious ball striking, athleticism, and unwavering focus is so overwhelming that at some point she has reduced nearly all of the world's best players to mere spectators in their own matches. On Saturday afternoon at Melbourne Park, it was Emma Raducanu's turn to endure the unpleasant experience of stepping into the Swiatek bakery. Raducanu stood alone, a somber figure on one of the world's biggest tennis stages, facing a supreme Swiatek who claimed the last 11 games in her ruthless 6-1, 6-0 victory to reach the fourth round of the Australian Open. Raducanu said, "I think she played really well, but I also think I didn't play that well. So, it's just not a good combination." She added, "Of course, if a top player is playing their best, it's already going to be a tough match. And yeah, I just want to work on some things and make them better and more consistent." In her first tournament of the season, following back spasms that significantly impacted her preseason preparation, Raducanu had reached the third round of the Australian Open for the first time in her career, with two gutsy straight-set wins over 26th seed Ekaterina Alexandrova and Amanda Anisimova. Both times, the 22-year-old showcased her fighting spirit and court sense to overcome ultra-aggressive but inconsistent opponents and advance further. But there comes a point when no amount of fight can compensate for the quality gap between two players. There was no doubt that five-time Grand Slam champion Swiatek was going to deliver a high-level performance at Rod Laver Arena. The question was, what could Raducanu realistically do to make life difficult for her? "I felt really good," Swiatek said. "I felt like the ball was listening to me, so I just got very loose. In the end, I felt like all the strategies and everything I wanted to do, I was able to execute. So I just kept going." Against one of the best players in the world in stellar form, there was little Raducanu could do. She simply didn't have enough natural firepower to match Swiatek, whose wicked, heavy topspin forehand was even harder to handle in the warm, lively conditions. And although Raducanu is a good athlete, she wasn't quick enough with her defense to pressure Swiatek. It was evident from the start that Raducanu looked out of ideas. When she tried to get on the front foot, adding pace to her ground strokes and targeting the lines, her error count escalated rapidly. At the same time, when she attempted to construct points patiently, Swiatek completely overpowered her. Her performance was simply a reflection of the limits of her game compared to a player on the path to becoming one of the all-time greats. Although her tournament ended with a heavy defeat, Raducanu will leave Melbourne having made positive strides with two good wins over solid tennis players. When she's truly able to compete, she's clearly playing top 30 level tennis and has a solid foundation to build upon. The real challenge is staying fit enough to maintain her progress consistently throughout a long season. "I think the biggest positive I'd say is how I've taken every single day," Raducanu reflected. "I think before the tournament, in Auckland, with the difficult conditions and my back, I handled myself going into the tournament not being the most prepared. Then, I'd say how I handled today's match as well, which is quite different. And I need to be proud of myself and give myself credit for that. I think one of my goals for this year is just to stay consistent and keep building. I think today is going to be a really good test in a way. But I'll also look back and say I learned a lot from it and got a lot of feedback on what I need to improve."